Welcome or welcome back to JC Performance. I thought because I did such a bad job of actually filming anything when I was at the last Backyard Ultra I did, that I would do a proper debrief.
Here we are, lads. Ready for it?
Let's go.
Let's go. Found my swing with this and I'm looking like some sort of Tom Selleck lookalike. Here we are, beautiful Northumberland. 4 laps in to the Heart and Soul Backyard Ultra. Feeling very good so far. We're gonna keep cracking on. Right, we are 4 laps in. Doing good, aren't we? HQ is being manned very well by our staff. We're just starting to get a bit of this on with the hot spot. Feeling good, 26k in. 26k? Ish. 26-ish K in, somewhere around there. And the country's on now, so... Yeehaw! We are 10 yards in. Chicken burrito, pot noodle, cup of tea. Legs are feeling like I've run 65k, which is somewhat unsurprising, isn't it? And the dogs are very much being solid crew members, as you can see. Especially this one. Sleeping, you can't get the bloody staff, can you? Sleeping on the job. But yeah, legs feel good. There's a lot more in the tank. Just got to keep chipping away, do one more.
Currently it is 4:40 a.m. in the morning. I am eating a bowl of oats with delicious chocolate orange peanut butter, which if you've never tried it, would definitely recommend. Bananas and honey, and controversially, not a cup of coffee like the rest of the fitness industry, a cup of tea, because you can take the boy out of Yorkshire, but you can't take the Yorkshire out of the boy, can you? But I thought I would do a debrief and start off with what the experience was actually like. Now, I know Logan and Paul, who run Heart and Soul, and I know a couple of the team as well. So I knew the event was going to be really fun. It was my first Backyard Ultra, so there was a lot of stuff that I didn't really expect. I was going in with an idea of what I was in for, but a lot of unknowns, which was good, because I do plan on running more of these. And I do think it's a format that suits me quite well. But just like the first time doing anything, there was going to be a lot of discovery with this one. So I went in with an open mind of what I might be in store for, and learning a lot of lessons along the way, which I certainly did. There was some things that I didn't expect, some things that I did expect, and I think like a lot of these races, when you're running for such an extended period of time, you do learn a lot of stuff about yourself. Honestly, I think one of the best things about events like this is that everyone on the start line, and this applies to you if you're thinking of running your first ultra, your first Backyard Ultra, your first 5k, your first half marathon, your first high rocks, whatever it is. If you're stood there on the start line, you've put yourself in the arena and you should be proud of yourself. There were people there who were running their first marathon. They were running for as long as they could before their legs gave out. There were people there shooting for the win. There were people who had only ever run 10k and one of them did 50k plus, and it's just such a good setup to see how far you can push yourself. And I think for a lot of people it does suit quite well that you essentially just get multiple opportunities to run this lap rather than having to do a point to point, which can feel a little bit more intimidating. So it was really lovely to be around a lot of people all wanting to push themselves. And I think, you know, you tend to get it at races like this, but I think especially at Backyard Ultras, because people don't really know where the finish line is going to be, they just keep pushing until they're done. Like that's quite a cool atmosphere to be around. And this one especially, it was on a farm in Morpeth. There was a rave barn. There was really good music playing. It was quite like close knit, and you know, I knew a fair few people there, so the community was really, really strong. And it was a really lovely experience actually. By the time it got down to the sort of final 10, then into the final 5, there was a moment that one of the guys caught on camera, which I wish I had the footage of it, but it's a guy called Joe Larkin, who you should definitely go and follow because he does some great stuff. And he caught this moment, I think it was lap 25 or lap 26, where everyone just started giving each other fist bumps in the corral, and it was just the nicest moment of us all understanding that no one was going to quit willingly at that point. No one was willingly ringing that bell, and it was such a really lovely thing to capture. But before I get into the rest of it, I am going to eat my breakfast, and I will probably catch you either on a dog walk or when I'm sat down in the work office. I'll see you in a bit. Cheers. So I can confirm that was absolutely delicious. And I'm just going to show you one thing on my screen. Hopefully you can see this, because this was probably one of the biggest takeaways I had from the last event, was that my foot admin, I got away with it because I think my prep is so good going into these events. This isn't one of the products I use going into it, but this is the brand that support me, the Feats. Now, I will fully be transparent that they send me free stuff, but I actually use it all the time. I prep my feet with a product called Soul Savior, and then I use this on hot spots. This is Chafe Guard. I also use that in betwixt my thighs, and then I use a muscle balm afterwards. So my foot prep is pretty hot all the time, but I got away with it because I think you might be able to see in the background there's a pair of Ultras here, a zero drop, that are really, really comfortable on the trails. However, the harder the trails got, the more I felt that, and I think that's probably part of the reason that I felt it a little bit in terms of like stiff Achilles, like felt my knee a little bit afterwards, is that I just didn't have enough cushioning, like soft, comfortable cushioning during that race. I probably should have worn road shoes for the last like 10 hours of that race, and I think I probably could have gone further. So we are looking at some of these. I've actually got a different pair on order, the Nova Blasts, because I tried some on at work. One of my colleagues has a pair, and I tried on a size too small and it was still comfortable. So I've ordered a 10.5 and an 11 for the road shoe. And then I'm also looking at the trail version as well, which I will probably get 2 for the next race. So I've got 2 pairs of really plush shoes. I've also got a pair of Topos, which are really bouncy, really springy. I've got my Ultras if it absolutely chucks it down. So it gives me at least 4 pairs of shoes that I can change between. But even if I'm just going in between the Nova Blast Trail and the regular Nova Blast, it just gives me something to switch between every couple of hours. So my feet just feel a little bit more fresh along with sock changes. I just thought I'd say that while that's on my screen and I remember it. That was definitely one of my biggest takeaways from the event. But anyway, I need to get on with some work before I do the next bit, so I'm going to do that now, and then I'll speak to you in a bit. You know it's going to be a good day when you rock up to work with a jacket that has a horrible saliva-covered tennis ball in one pocket and a massive handful of dog biscuits in the other. That's just a pro tip for anyone out there wanting to start their day as best as they can. Now it's time to get into some coaching, do the nursery run. I've got some ultra marathons that various people are prepping for. So very, very exciting morning. It always is. And that is coaching finished for the morning. Now we are going to nail an absolutely enormous bowl of spag bol. The shoes going into this, I showed you the Nova Blasts earlier, and these have just arrived. So these are the road version, obviously, and my God, are they comfortable. I can already see what sort of difference having a shoe like this is going to make on the day. But I think it's a fairly nice colourway, isn't it? Nice and bright. Going to get very dirty, but as long as they take me the miles, that's absolutely fine. But yeah, excited to road test them. So after a brief interlude for some coffee and cake with my wonderful little daughter and my mother-in-law, playing in the garden with both of them and just seeing the most magical little memories being formed, we're back in the office and I can carry on sharing what I learned about myself and what I'm going to change in my next ultra. So I'm actually going to flip the camera around because this is the next thing I really took, and like this doesn't show the full extent of it, because the main thing that kind of went wrong from an organisation point of view is that Genius here thought any gazebo sides will just fit a gazebo. There must be like a standardised side, right? Wrong. Very, very, very wrong. I couldn't have been more wrong. I think I've got a video of it, or at least got a picture of it, which I'm going to put on the screen now. Oh my God, this gazebo, like these sides were like 1 metre too long on each side. So I was there at like 9 a.m. panicking, like how am I going to get this together? And luckily my mum, crew chief, Ali, turned up with this big roll of duct tape, and I was like, you give me that. We're turning this into a Gore-Tex jacket. Taped all the seams because they were pissing with rain, and taped everything together, and it was a mess. So I'm actually borrowing her gazebo for the next one because it's like a big, heavy duty gazebo, which I'm very, very grateful for. I still have a load of stuff in the corner, which I'm not going to show you because it's a mess. However, these were the boxes that I took with me, and I thought I was being super organised with this. As you can see, there is just stuff everywhere in these boxes. We've got some Savlon in there in case anything went really wrong. That is a sandwich bag with silica gel and kitchen towel in it in case I needed to keep my phone and something to keep it dry. Genius hack. That's just an empty tin. I don't know why that was even there. Medical kit. All sorts of stuff here. Obviously, tons of street waffles, little banana loaves, Tailwind, crispy bars, electrolytes, endurance fuel, loads of stuff in there. And then this was just full of like kit. What I didn't realise is that having stuff just in 3 boxes isn't actually being that organised. And it just became chaos. Like literally like 2 laps in, I was like, where is this? And I had to bring a hole punch with me because I actually can't find where the thing is now. I've got this running belt that holds my number, and I had to hole punch the number to get it through this running belt and like
clip it on. And I just lost the hole punch, but my numbers had like, it was like raining, so the numbers had just fallen apart. So I was like scrabbling around for this hole punch. I ended up having to use a fork to get holes in this bit of paper to get it back onto my belt. This is like all stuff I don't need next time. So what I'll be doing instead is, and in fact, I actually have a note on my phone, which I'm going to show you for this, because I've already assembled the crew, the best damn ultramarathon crew that ever did exist. And we now have this little chart, which I'm going to turn into a spreadsheet for them. We've got various different plans for what I want to do with fueling and hydration. I know my targets that I want to hit per hour, and I'm just going to put different combinations of bags together, put them in a box so that they know where all of those are. Get a load of drinks bottles. One of the lads is going to take us down to Costco so we can get all this stuff sorted. I only took 2 pot noodles with me. I'm going to take like 25 down to the next one, because God knows how many I'm going to get through. And just having that level of organization of like knowing that they can just grab a bag and give it to me and it's got everything I need in there. And even if it's a quick change, it's just like, here's your bottle with Tailwind in it. Here's your bag full of goodies. Off you go back onto the lap if you're just like stumbling over at 59 minutes and 30 seconds and you just need a quick turnaround. So that's something I'll definitely be staying on top of next time. And they'll be briefed beforehand. We're going to go for pizza, sit down, go through that brief. So I'll be showing you what that looks like when we get round to it. And yeah, just being way more organized with a much better gazebo. It was carnage by the end. One of the big things that I actually didn't do that much was listen to music. And I think this race that I've just done, shout out to Heart and Soul, by the way, phenomenal race. But I think I maybe I didn't flick that switch enough. And I did, I ran to the point of physically feeling like I couldn't run anymore. I do think this is going to be a very different environment in the next one. And I think that is probably going to lend itself to me getting in my own head a bit more and running it, I think, a bit more like a race. This was a bit of sort of trepidation and seeing like, what's this race format like? How am I going to feel throughout that? And, generally the first time I've done a certain distance, I don't do that with music, but now I'm a bit more familiar with the format of it and how it feels. All I've actually done is started to get together a couple of playlists there. So you can see there's one where I'm actually just looking to get super hyped up. That's basically just loads of metal music and hard hitters. The other one is when I know I need to dig deep. Personally for me, like epic film soundtracks, they just do something to me. So that's what's going to go down if I need to really reach for something. The other thing I don't have one in here, but I wore it all the way through the last race, was my daughter absolutely loves hair bobbles. So I had a hair bobble around my watch the entire time, and I took a few with me just in case. One of the crew members knows us as a couple really well. We're really good friends with both of them. And we all went to uni together. We've known each other for going on 15 years. And they're really close friends of ours. And I've already briefed him that it's a really difficult thing with your crew, that you have to kind of say to them, you need to not feel sorry for me. And I'm going to need you to be kind of hard on me sometimes. But at the same time, like, you're there to kind of take care of me and essentially make sure I'm getting through it. And I know, because we've already had this conversation, I know he'll be able to pick up on the times where he needs to text my wife for Emily to message me to tell me something to switch it on. Because for me, like, that happened in the last race. And I've said this to Em before, nothing has ever motivated me that much as the moment where we were sat down on the bed that I had in the gazebo, and my daughter was sat between us, and I was sharing a bacon sandwich with her. Shout out to my client Matty for bringing me a bacon sandwich, you absolute legend. That's going in the strategy next time as well. But she just looked me dead in the eyes and said, there is no way you're quitting. And that for me was just like one of those, like, no chance, absolutely no chance I was giving up then. So I know that they both know how to work together to get that out of me. I do think that combination of like being in a very competitive environment where there are people who've done some really big distances there before, and I don't want to go and just get a participation medal here. I'm not arrogant enough to say that I'm going to walk in and take a win. I'm going in with a strategy of not giving up on any of those laps and going out again. Even if I'm walking back in, if I'm dragging myself back in, if I'm in that corral and there is time to spare, I'm going around again. Because the amount of times I had lows where I thought this could be it and came out the other side, it is just part of that sort of race. And that's where having a crew and stuff like playlists are just like invaluable in those moments where you really, really need to dig for it. So they're two big changes I'll make into the next one. I had a load of fun with everyone around me, but I do think this one in my head is a bit more like it's a race. And there will come a time where I do need to feel not guilty for being selfish about, like, this is my A race of the year. Like, the last one was my first backyard ultra. It was to prepare me for the next one. And that didn't take away from the experience. I thought it was amazing. It was so good I've signed up again. I'm doing it next year. But
it was to get me ready for this race. So this one for me is a bit more serious. All of these things were an opportunity for me to kind of look at like, where do I need to improve? What do I need to change going into the next one? So it means we can hit it even harder next time. And I'm gonna wrap it up there. Those for me are really the main things that I'm taking forward going into the next race that I'm doing. And I'm really, really excited for it. I cannot wait to get stuck into this race because it is massive. Like there's like 400 plus people going to be there. And, you know, we're driving like 5.5 hours down there. I don't want this to be like a flash in the pan, like, you know, I'm done within the first 24 hours race. And I think a lot of these changes that we're making now, plus the fact that we've got this slingshot of essentially a massive training, like 28-hour training session, that my goals between now and then are to stay fresh, to keep my body ticking over, and to get all these logistics sorted well ahead of time, so that we are in a position to do a much more, I was going to say much more serious distance. 112 miles is a bloody serious distance. And actually, anyone who stands on the start line of an ultra, whether that's a backyard, 50k, 100k, 100 miles, whatever it is, if you're standing on that start line, putting yourself out there, you should already be proud of yourself for doing that. So many people say things like, oh, it's just a 50k. It's not, there's nothing just about that. If you're running an ultramarathon, you're already part of a group where there's like less than 0.5% of the world have done one of those, have even entered one of them. So you're already in a very, very small category of people doing that. So you should be bloody proud of yourself. But me being the way that I am, I would like to get into an even smaller category of people who are right at the sharp end of those races. And that's just my ambition. It's something that I am really passionate about. I don't think I've ever felt quite like this about a sport. I'm really enjoying this process. So I'm glad to have you along for the journey. Make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.